Hello students, this is Professor Faiz Raut from Jain College of Engineering. I'm in revision of Module 2. Well, in Module 2, we have discussed regarding the merger process, the procedures for effective M&A, a five-stage model or 5S model, due diligence, what are the types of due diligence and the process and the challenges of due diligence, then HR aspects of M&A, and tips for successful mergers, the process of merger integration. Okay, all those things we have studied in module 2. So beginning with the first one, steps in merger or merger process. There are 8 steps in merger process. First is screening and investigation of a merger proposal. Now what this steps in merger or the merger process tells us is how one company who is an acquired company, how it decides to screen the target company, how it decides to buy the target company, and the steps goes on till the target company is bought and is being integrated with the acquirer company. Okay, so this is what the steps tells us. Okay, the first one is a screening and investigation of a merger proposal. Okay, in this process, the company who is an acquirer company, uh, they will screen the companies which are potential buy for them. Okay, this is the first step, this is the primary step in which the acquirer company will be searching the companies which is the best business fit or management and has the financial strength. Those companies will be sorting out, and we'll be selecting, and this is the first screening process. Then next comes the second one, which is negotiation stage. Once this company has been selected, the target company, then with that target company, and the acquirer company will start its negotiation, and the negotiation will be in the terms of prices and other factors, and other dealings will be negotiated with the target company, and the target company will also be negotiating the prices. So the acquirer company's main aim is to buy the target company at a lesser price, and the deal should be in their favor, and the risk will be minimum. Okay, and the third one is approval of proposal by the board of directors. Once the negotiation has happened, the deal has been finalized, the board of directors will be deciding upon whether to go forward with this deal or not. Then afterwards, after the approval of the board of directors, there will be approval from the shareholders. The shareholders are the, what do you say, the owners of the company. So after the approval of board of directors, this proposal will be kept in front of shareholders, and if the majority shareholders agree with this proposal, then the deal will go forward. Then next is approval of creditors and financial institutions. Okay, the afterwards, the approvals from the constituents of the scheme of merger and acquisition are required to sort as per the respective agreement with each of them and their interest in considering in drawing up the scheme of merger. Okay, the approval from the financial institutions, the banks who have given the loans to these companies, they should provide an approval as to who will be settling all the debts, the acquirer or the target, and how the settling of debts will happen. And all those things they need to clear out, and then they will get the approval from the creditors and financial institutions as well. Then finally, the approval from the tribunal. Okay, any company who has been sold out to another company needs to take approval from the tribunal as well. So there is no pending cases against the company, or how the cases will be handled by the acquiring company, or how the liquidation will be happening, and all those things will be cleared to the tribunal. And after getting approval from the tribunal, the next final approval will be from the central government. Okay, because the central government approval is required, because the deal should not harm the business environment, the social environment, the environmental disturbances should not happen because of this deal. The competition should remain in the market. There should not be a monopolistic view for after this mergers and acquisition. So there will be an approval from the central government, and finally there is an integration stage when the company acquires the target company. The culture and the policies of the target company will be different, so they need to integrate with their own culture, and their own policies will be implemented in the target company. And the employees of the target company will should not feel where they have been acquired and their culture will be totally changed, and they should not feel anything. There should not be a disconnect between the acquirer and the target company's employees and other stakeholders. Okay, so this was about the steps in merger or merger process. So it starts with the screening of which is the company which the acquirer is interested in buying, and it ends with the integration of the target company to the acquirer company. Okay, next is the 5 stage model or 5S model. Okay. In this 5S model, again, the company, the acquirer company will be defining a strategy why they want to do a merger or acquisition, and then starting from designing that strategy till the post acquisition, after the acquisition of that company, the post acquisition audit, uh, those things will be involved in this 5 stage model. Again, this is one of the different model of mergers and acquisition. Okay, so let's begin. First one is a corporate strategy development. Okay, in corporate strategy development, the acquirer company will define a strategy of their business. Okay, what they need to achieve from this mergers and acquisition, whether they want competition, to remove the competition, whether they want the resources of the other company, whether they want the good management of that company, or whether they want a few ideas, or they need to enter into a business, to a totally new business, a conglomerate kind of a merger. So what is their exact strategies? So after they design the strategies, then they can select the which the target company they are interested in. Okay, once they decide the strategy. So after this strategy development took place, the second one is organization for acquisition. Okay, organization for acquisition is what you can call it as a framework for organization of the M&A activities. The aim is to achieve the what do you say, the aim is to develop the acquisition function as an important organizational capability and as a core competency of the firm, in which the criteria for the potential targets of acquisition will be laid down. Okay, which is the firm which fits to our business. Okay, and that will be laid down in this stage. And the third stage is deal structuring and negotiation. Okay, once the target company is being identified, the acquirer company will approach the target company. It will first of all value the target company, what is the value of the assets and the liabilities and the what do you say, the uh, intangible assets. All those valuing will be done, and the final deal price according to the acquirer company will be finalized, and then also the due diligence will be done, all the investigation, any what all the assets the company owns exactly, and what all the assets the company is on the lease, and what are the legal implications of that, or any cases pending in the court, or any contingent liabilities there, anything. The due diligence will be performed. After all those things, then the acquirer company will approach the target company and the negotiation will start. Okay, and this is the third. This was the third stage, and the fourth stage is the post-acquisition integration. After the deal is being finalized in the previous stage, the whether it will be a share exchange deal, or it will be a cash deal, or whatever it is. So once the target company is being acquired by the acquirer company, then there will be certain changes happening in both the companies. Okay, because now both the companies will have different policies. The HR policies will be different, the financial marketing policies, the operational policies, the admin policies, the legal policies will there will be many differences between the two companies. So they need to integrate. There should be a understanding between on both the sides of the companies, so as to make them one. Now there will be changes in the target company firm, there will be changes in the acquiring company firm, and the attitude and behavior of both the companies where needs to be accommodated. Okay, and the fusion will happen. Now the two companies will work as a single entity. There should not be any disconnect or any conflict between the two companies. Then the merger will be a failure in this case. Okay, so after this, the next stage, which is the last one, stage 5, this is the post acquisition audit. After the acquisition has been done, then there will be an audit as to how well this acquisition has taken place, and internal auditors have a significant role in this. Okay, they will be auditing, and the organization learning will happen. Suppose in one company there were 5 working days, Monday to Friday. In another company there were 6 working days. So now, as the employees of both the companies have become one, so what will be the working days and the working timings, the holiday structures, related to HR policies and related to financial, if they were using maybe written down method, another company might be using straight line method. So now what kind of depreciation they'll be using. So many small things will be there. So all things will be integrated, and depending upon that, the audit will be happening and organization learning will be happening. Okay, so this was about the 5-stage model. Next was due diligence. Okay, due diligence, as the statement goes, it is a systematic process of acquiring and analyzing information which helps the buyer or the seller to determine whether to proceed with the transaction or not. Okay, when a person is acquiring a company, when a acquirer company is acquiring a target company, they need to do the full investigation, due diligence of each and every department of each and every asset. Okay, because after the deal happened and after the sell they buy the company, after the acquirer company buy the target company, then after that, if there is they should not be feeling any what do you say, okay, next is due diligence. Due diligence is a systematic process of acquiring and analyzing information which helps a buyer or a seller determine whether to proceed with the transaction or not. Okay, in this case, when an acquirer company is acquiring the target company, they need to know each and everything of the target company. Who are the stakeholders involved in the acquisition? What are the assets, liabilities of the company? Who are the all the suppliers, the what are the raw materials required, what are the assets they are holding, whether it is a leased asset or it is a bought asset, or everything they need to know, because after the deal has happened they should not regret it after buying it. Okay, and if the due diligence is not handled properly, then it can be, what do you say, there will be surprises, many costly surprises for the acquiring firm. And the maybe the suppliers will leave the deal with the company, or there will be a problem with the suppliers of the raw material or the distributors of the company as well. Okay, so, one such example of due diligence given in the notes is there were 2 companies, Nestle and Agnelis, uh, over the control of the Perrier, a French mineral water company. Okay, then Nestle ultimately won this, and they bought this French mineral water company. And later they found out that one of the springs, one of the place where they used to get water for that mineral water company, for their bottled water, and then one of the place where the water is being extracted, it was not owned by that company itself, it was leased from the government, from the municipality. So but they didn't hide, the French mineral water company didn't hide the fact, but Nestle didn't ask for it. So they didn't do a proper due diligence, so this was a failure from the part of the Nestle. Then later on, actually, when the lease will get over, it was Nestle to face. whether it will buy or not. So a proper due diligence should be there in order to avoid this kind of surprises. Okay. Next is challenges of mergers and acquisition and due diligence. In this, the challenges of the 5S models which we have did, the challenges in those things is being discussed. Okay, the first one is challenges in competitive strategy planning. Well, when a strategy is being planned, the main strategy aims to improving the firm's competitive position and to establish a sustainable base in the market. So there are two expectations, or there are two strategies which the company can form. It is the first mover strategy or me too followers. Okay, first mover has an advantage that whenever you are there in the market, the product name becomes your brand name, or the brand name becomes your product name. Okay, for example, the powder drink name became Rasna. Okay, any powder drink came in the market, the initial name became Rasna, or the Bisleri water. Any mineral water you are buying, the first thing comes into my Bisleri water. So that is the first mover's advantage, you can say. But first mover advantage also has some risk, which can because there is no product in the market similar to that, so there is a huge risk of failure. Whereas for the second strategy, as a me too follower, they can learn from the mistakes of the first mover, and they can design their strategies accordingly. But they need to do a huge they need to struggle a lot, because already there is a established brand in the market. Okay. Second is challenges in organizing for acquisition. Well, in organizing the acquisition, and the important part is the key decision makers need to be conscious of the pressures and pulls, and not allow them to overwhelm with the logic of the deal. Okay. Now this organization for acquisition is, there is a team made called as A team. So this team will keep an eye on the delivery of the strategic goals. Now few CEOs or few management of the companies, which a few people in the company might find one or two companies very interesting, but those companies might not be aligning with the strategic goals of the acquirer business. So this A team which has been created, and they will keep an eye as to whether if we are acquiring a target company is been aligning with our strategic goals or not, or whether our hyperactive CEOs or management team is very enthusiastic to buy a company which is not meeting our goals. So they will keep an eye on that, the team A in this. So that is a challenge for this. So they need to act as a devil's advocate from time to time, so that the over optimistic acquisition should not happen. Okay, so the next one is the challenges in deal structuring and negotiation. In this, a number of potential risks are concerned with the deal structuring and negotiation. In this, the due diligence plays a very important role. Before signing a deal, there should be a proper due diligence, so that there will not be any costly surprises in the future. And negotiation should also be in such a way that they should get a minimum price, but they should also have minimum risk in that. Okay, they will buy the company at a lesser price, but there should be a minimum risk as well. Okay, so that kind of negotiation should be done, and negotiation should be beneficial for both the target company and the acquired company both. Okay, it should not be done like that. Okay, we'll just acquire the target company and not care about the employees or the other stakeholders of those companies. Okay, so it will be, so that is a challenging thing which the acquired company need to take place. So it should be beneficial for them as well and the target company. Okay, next is the challenges in post acquisition integration. Well, this is the very difficult one, I feel, because once the target company has been bought by the acquired company, now it is the whole and sole responsibility of the acquiring company to take care of that target company, and there should not be any conflict between any of the stages in any of the department. and they should merge together, fuse together to become one. So any disconnect should be removed from there, and if this is not been achieved, then the synergy will not happen, the integration will not happen, and the merger will fail. So it is also a team also look into this factor, and uh, the what do you say, the output from this acquisition should be greater than the individual performance. So that is been this will be always be a greatest challenge in after acquisition. And they should, and the target company should also fit to the strategic business plan of the acquirer company. Okay. Last one is challenges in post acquisition. Well, post acquisition audit and organizational learning. Okay, the acquisition, the audit process. Well, after the acquisition has been taken place, generally the audit is considered to be as a finding exercise rather than an opportunity for learning. So this attitude depends upon the culture of the organization. Its openness to learning, how harsh the attitude of the top management to failure is, etc., etc., etc. All these things will be a matter to see in the post acquisition audit, and how the one organization will be learning from another organization. There will be some things in which the target company might be doing better than the acquirer company, so that the acquirer company need to accept this and try to adapt with the target company. Okay. So then that achieving this is a huge challenge. Okay. So this was about the challenges in merger and acquisition. Then next we'll come with the types of due diligence. It's a small slide. Types of due diligence are three: financial due diligence, legal due diligence, and strategic due diligence. Well, financial due diligence is the acquirer company will be accessing the all the major financial information of the acquirer company, whether any contingent liability is there, any assets are there, who has reached the depreciation, and what are the actual value of the shares, what are the actual value of the assets, whether any legal proceedings is to be done, and any financial obligations are there. So all the due diligence, all the investigation related to financial activities will be done in this. Next is legal due diligence. This is the most important due diligence they need to do, because any kind of activity which has been prohibited by the tribunal for these companies, the acquirer company needs to know, because once they acquire the company, they cannot do any changes after that. So they should be knowing about this. Okay. Next is um, strategic due diligence. Well, strategic due diligence is when acquiring a company, they should the acquisition acquirer company needs to do a due diligence whether this deal is attractive, whether we can buy this company, whether the target company fits with our strategic objectives or not. So that will be decided in this strategic due diligence. Okay. So next we'll go to this is the last slide, human resource management issues during integration. Okay. When during integration, now the acquirer company has acquired the target company. Now there are two companies trying to become one. There is a fusion is happening between the two companies. Now during this there will be a change of board of directors. First one, changing the board of directors is there will be board of directors from both the sides of the companies. Okay. So it will be a new board, the leaders will be changed, and this change will be dictated by the merger. So both of the all the board of directors from both the companies should work accordingly to get the objective. No one should be treated inferior or superior or something like that. Both the experience from both the sides of the board of directors should be taken care. So this is a challenging thing while integration. Next is the senior job to be done. Now this involves a huge rival claims, and it involves a huge fight between the top management, because who will be the heading the divisions, who will be heading the CEO position after the merger is happening, whether it will be a acquirer company or whether it will be a department who is very well developed in the target company. So this will be always be a issue of conflict in the integration process. Then next, third one is headcount reduction. Well, after the merger is happening, after the merger took place, now there will be a lot of employees in the companies. If we add the employees of both the companies, so there will be a reduction in the employees. So that need to be handled with care. They should not be just removed. The most of the target company employees will be removed, and all the employees of acquired company will remain, or something like that should not happen. There should be a fair game for both the companies while they are merging. So it should not invite any legal issues while integration and removal of the people. Okay, there should not be any legal issues involved, which will be a detrimental for the company. Okay, and next is okay, next is a key people retention. Now the key people in the important people in the target company will be facing a threat that they might get removed, or their importance will go down as their company has been acquired. So they should be maintained because these key people know the exact working of that target company, and they know the in and outs of that target company. Should be retained, and the acquirer company should give them some privilege in order to retain them into this company. Okay. Next is aligning performance measurement and reward system. Okay. Now there are different what do you say different approaches to measuring and rewarding performance in order to retain the employees, and the process of evaluation and incentive systems. This different approaches may evoke hostile responses from the staff and adversely affect the two firms. So because of that, the performance measurement and reward system will be should be streamlined, because suppose in acquirer company there are different performance measurements, and in a target company there are different performance measurements, and each of the employees are used to their specific performance measurement and reward system. So when suddenly there is a change in the target company, or in the or there is a merger during integration, any conflict can arise in the performance measurement metrics or the reward system process. So that needs to be taken care of by the HR department basically, and the top management. Okay. Next is managing conflicting expectations. Mergers are characterized by exceptional ambiguity. The expectation of outside stakeholders and the stock market analysts may differ from those of internal stakeholders, such as top management and employees. So, when a merger is happening, the stock market will respond very positively. The share prices of the acquirer company will go up, but exactly what is happening inside the company in the internal management has been only been known by the top management and the employees. So expectation may differ. It may go positive, it may go negative, but this expectation, what do you say? This conflict needs to be handled by the management. Should be handled by the management realistically. Okay, so that was all about human resource management issues during integration. So well, this was all about module 2. Thank you for listening.